well. There is a chat that is available to you for you to input any comments or questions throughout the presentation today. My name is Sunny. I am filling in for Cecilia, who normally leads these things. I'm more than happy to walk you through the normal stuff, as well as answer any general questions that you have. I am wearing glasses and a white sweater, and I think this is going to be our group today. So I should be sharing my screen. Please shout if at any point you stop seeing it. Want to make sure that you guys are able to follow along with me. So this is the Drupal 10 training and support, the bi-weekly meeting that we host so people can learn a little bit more about Drupal 10 features, as well as bring up any questions or support items that they feel that they need addressed. With me, I have Brian, Barry, and Alexa, who all work within the PMO and Drupal realm. They're here to help me answer any questions that you may have or provide additional support. Oh, Casey is here as well. She also works within the PMO. So we've got a good group today. So don't be afraid to ask me anything that you need. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. So it's just some general housekeeping, and this is pretty standard between all of these meetings, is that we do have the CMS website that is available. This is just cms.colorado.gov. We will put the link in the chat so you can easily access it. This is just a resource website that has recorded VODs of this previous training, I think going back to November. So in case you need to follow up on anything, or if a question is answered at a previous date, you can always look at previous VODs, or if you need a refresher on this one today, it will be uploaded onto the site. Additionally, I just want to make everyone aware that the chat is available for you to use to ask any questions, have any comments or concerns, any support items that may be out there that you would like to see addressed. This is a space for you to be able to make those comments made or questions or anything like that. And I really encourage you to just ask. This is what that space is for, so definitely don't be afraid to reach out. Additionally, you also have the partner support queue that is available. This is partner support at www.colorado.gov. This is a great way to reach out about support items, as it has a ticketed system, which means that we can track the progress of any ongoing items, as well as get it attached to active bug fixes and reports, so that if you report it and we can get it attached to that specific fix, you will be notified of the fix when it gets rolled out. So don't be afraid to take that space. We're here to make this an easy and accessible way to contact us with any concerns that you may have. But of course, you can always just pop something in the chat as well, and we're more than happy to answer as best as we can. So this is going to be our agenda for today. Just some basic stuff that we are covering. We're going to look at the authenticated user view, some items within the content module, and then we're going to look at layouts as well, and then just some new stuff for the media library. So let me go ahead and swap screens real quick so that you can see my little website. And let me know that you can see the demo page if you can.
Looks great, Sunny.
Looks great. Perfect. So here is going to be the unauthenticated view. So what we mean by that is when you are not signed in, this is a public view of the site. So you can see that we're missing those toolbars and those editing buttons. So this is really important. So whenever you need a new user to be added to the site, first and foremost, you do have to get a security agreement signed and submitted, where you can find this guy, and we'll put this in the chat as well. This is going to live in the FAQ section. It's going to be this arrow drop down and user security agreements. These security agreements cover all of our different platforms, so it goes across AccessGov and our website. So it is a universal form that even if it's not for websites, it's for something else, you would still download the same thing and fill it out and submit it in the exact same spot. Once this individual has these signed forms and it's been submitted and processed by us, and that process typically follows through the partner support queue, or you can submit it directly to any one of the project manager team members. you have now the option to access this login view. So typically, excuse me, we encourage our users to log in with Google. This is a single sign-on solution, which means that it is a secure way to sign in without a constant password reset or anything like that. And it is just the most manageable way to get a new account set up onto this site. And when this individual is logged in, they may see a view that says this user has been blocked or is pending admin approval. That is when you, as the user admin who has signed that security agreement, will go ahead and get them set up in the back end of the site. And what they will see when they're all set up and ready to go is this view. This is what we call the authenticated user view. This is someone who is supposed to be in here and has the correct permissions to be in here as well, where anyone can make an account, but it takes additional security steps that have to be done manually for them to see any of this stuff. So at the very tippy top, this is going to be our toolbar. In our toolbar, we have our content and structure for the content and structure admins, where a lot of the website building kind of lives in this area right here. And then if you are a user admin, you will see this people tab. And that people tab is where you'll manage new users, where you can assign those roles, and then also block users as well. So if someone leaves, you would not necessarily delete their account. You would block them so that they lose all access to the website. Also within this authenticated view, you will notice that there are some extra buttons on pages that we did not see before. These are quick shorthand, quick use buttons where you can just go to edit the page automatically. You can view previous revisions as well. So if you are noticing that something is looking a little different than it was before, we can just take a look at this revisions tab. And we can see all of these different revisions done at all of these dates. And what's also important is that it also provides who did the most current and recent revision. This is helpful in case you're missing a document or if you're missing something on the site that you are not expecting to, especially if you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I believe the revisions tab is a really fabulous way to view just what's been happening in that area and also kind of nails down where these items have gone. And hopefully we don't have any questions about the authenticated view or anything I've covered so far. Brian, is there any questions?
Sorry, had to hit the unmute button. No, there's actually no questions thus far.
Fabulous, awesome. So I'm going to start talking about content. So in our little content view, it is just this button at the very tippy top of our page. This is what we call the content library. So lots of things live in the content library. If you ever are wondering what is in there, in this add content button, we can see that we have everything from alerts to news feeds, layouts, events, basic pages, and landing pages. Everything that you will typically create on your site, content speaking, as long as it's not custom work, is going to live within this library. This does exclude media items such as PDFs and images. Those have their own separate home, but this is that general content module. So when we talk about content and we talk about pages, there are two main pages types that you can work in. So the basic page is just a general use, accessible, easy, quick page to set up. This can span from landing pages, or this can function as a standalone page as well. There are lots of sites out there that leverage one landing page as their home page, and then several basic pages to finish everything up. So in your basic page, you are always going to want to give it a title. And the thing to note about titles is that this does get pulled into the URL, is what we call the alias, the domain. So in this title, you would want to name it either what you want your URL to look like, or if it is a particularly long page name, it would make the URL somewhat inaccessible or hard to remember. You can navigate to this URL alias, and you'll see that this box is checked. This checked box essentially means that it's going to take this title and create a URL based off of that title for your page. But let's say that we don't want our test page, we don't want this to be our URL. We would like something shorthand like this. this is an easy way just to say, hey, this page name is too long, it's too complex, I don't like how it looks visually in the URL bar. This is just an easy way to clean it up a little. And that is all you need to do there. And what is also nice about these basic pages and just pages in general is that you can build entirely within this text editor. And this text editor is what we call the WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. All of these buttons do something and you have access to all of them. And inside of these guys, you can see that we have a few options. So let me go ahead and grab some placeholder text real quick so that we can take a look at what some of these things do. Perfect. And just in case, if you're copying and pasting from other sources, a quick keyboard shorthand. Hopefully you can see the difference between these two, but we can see how this font and the style of this text is slightly different. This is because this bottom one still has styling from the source page. So if you're ever copying and pasting within the WYSIWYG editor, a keyboard shorthand that will strip that styling, that will add this as plain text so that you are not running into accessibility or visual issues, is going to be Control, Shift, and you're holding those two buttons down and then hitting V. And that is just going to paste it with all that styling stripped off of there. I always like to go over that because I think it's a very handy little keyboard shortcut. I've got lots of shortcuts, so if you're ever curious, I'm more than happy to send some over that I find helpful. So inside our WYSIWYG editor, I want to talk a little bit about linking internal and external and media items. So when linking internally, the system is smart enough that it can aggregate pages and content that you've already created. So I know that this home page exists, and I want to make sure that when people click this specific highlighted text, that it gets linked up. And you'll notice that this does not look like your standard URL. This is called a node. A node is a 4 or 5-digit identifier number that essentially says, hey, no matter what you do to this page, change its URL, update the alias, anything like that, we are still going to know that this content page is this number, and we are only referencing this number. So just in case if you're going through making page title changes and you're worried about links breaking because your page titles are referenced in your URL, or if you have any aliases set up, this is a really easy way to just say, nope, don't reference those when I'm linking things. I only want this content identifier. So I'll go ahead and hit save, and you'll also notice there is an advanced option. So each link that you put in there, and this doesn't matter if it's internal, external, or a media item, so like a document or an image, selecting open a new window is always going to open it up in a brand new tab. And when I hit save, it shows you this handy dandy little icon. One moment. You do need a / before your alias. Here we go, and we can see that this is saved as a draft. When it's saved as a draft, it has this pink color that is essentially saying, hey, none of this is published. This is only going to appear on the back-end view, either for further admin approval. So if you have the role like content editor, where unlike admins, you can't publish anything, but you can edit existing content or create content that needs to go through that approval pipeline, you will see this pink bar. But you will also see that since I told this link to open in a new tab, I have a box with an arrow sticking out of it. This is essentially saying, hey, you are going to be redirected from this page into a brand new spot. So when I click on this, we can see that it's opened up in a brand new page and it went where I told it to go. Perfect. Let's go ahead and edit this guy, and let's talk a little bit about linking those media items. So this is going to particularly pertain to documents on the platform. So it is the same process where we're going to highlight a string of text, something that is relevant to what is being linked up, and it is the exact same button. And just like everything else, you just have to search for that particular item, and this is going to be referenced on the name that you give it when you add it to the site. And in here, we can see that when I'm looking for a PDF, I have the option to add it as a media item and as a file item. When you're working with PDFs, you want to upload it as a file type. This removes an extra step that users have to open up the file and opens it up nice and neat in a new tab like we want it to. So let's go ahead and get this set up. And one thing to note is that if you do change the name of any of these files or media items, you will have to address it, as it doesn't function off nodes. It functions off sites, which is where it lives, the name of that site, a file, what file type it is, and then the name. So if the name changes, you will have to address that. But usually that's not something that comes up. So let me go ahead and hit save on this guy. And we could see that I have my two links, but this one opens up in a PDF view. And if you have any questions about PDF accessibility, OIT has a resource that is available specifically about PDFs and how to set them up to be accessible. That's something we'll also put in the chat and make available so that you have it as a reference and as a guide, because PDFs are still going to be your best friend. And I'm going to take a quick little pause here and see if there are any questions in the chat.
There are no questions, Sunny, but there was a request to get your shortcuts list for reference. So I don't know if we can provide that to them after this meeting or how you want to approach that.
More than happy to. More than happy to. Brian, if you can go ahead and pop my email in there and just poke me and I can hand you that list. It's going to make your life so much easier. Control Z is going to change your life. It's so good. Perfect.
And then I'm also for people's reference putting that accessible PDFs reference at OIT in the chat. So there's that link for your reference as well.
Awesome. I appreciate that so much. And fabulous. So a couple more things that I want to cover in regards to the basic page. I want to talk about how you add images into here, so you can embed your image into this WYSIWYG editor. And you can also create accordions. So just a couple more things I want to touch on here before we take a look at layouts, and then finally the media library, and then kind of open this up into a Q&A format, where I think we're going to find a lot of benefit from that. So when we talk about uploading images, you always want to get these guys in your media library first. This also applies to documents as well. A lot of my partners, when they're first getting started on their very first site build, I always tell them the best way to get familiar with the back end of the site and also kind of get your feet wet with the process of adding content to your site is to, of course, aggregate all of your documents, aggregate all of your images, and put them in the media library. So if you'll remember what when I talked about our content library, we know that our media library does not live in the same spot. So we are going to pop away here for a second. And so you will click on content to access this, and then you will either see an ellipses where you can choose from any of these options, and we are looking for media specifically, or you will see something like this, where it's just a series of tabs at the top of your page, where you can select content to view your content library, or media to view your media library, files to see files that are being referenced on the site, which this also aggregates those PDFs that you are uploading to your media library, and then also layouts that you have created. But let's talk about images real fast, and we're also going to touch on accessibility when it comes to images. So you'll see here, when I'm adding these media items, I have 4 options. 2 are available to you. These video and video uploads are deprecated legacy objects for older sites that have leveraged them in the past. And it is important that they maintain that functionality so that they don't run into any issues within their site. If you are uploading videos, I highly encourage you to have them uploaded into YouTube first, where you can then pull an iframe embed from the share button and then get that just pasted into the source code of a basic block or on an open embed block using layouts. But let's just talk about images. And you'll see here, when we are uploading images, we have to give it a name. So I always encourage people, accessibility speaking, is that the image, what it is named as a file, should be relevant to what the image is, and what you are naming it inside of the builder is also relevant, similar, or identical to what the file name is. You don't want any discrepancy when it comes to images, simply because a lot of screen readers both read the file name and then what the internal identifier of the image is as well. So if we can tell that this file name is cannoli CI 4944-0, this is from the CI Take Two project, and we can say that this is cannoli, this is a relevant name that is relevant to that file name. And you'll see that unlike documents, we have an extra space. We have an extra step to get this guy uploaded. So this is called alternative text. I'm going to assume that most people in the group today have written alternative text in the past, but just in case you need a little refresher, typically how you want to handle alternative text is essentially taking a description of the image without being too verbose. You don't want to get too into the weeds, too descriptive. You want to be very clear and concise when you're talking about your image. Additionally, if you're leveraging an infographic, if it has minimal text, it is okay to upload it as an image, but you will want to include every word of that text in the alternative text. It's important that whatever is readable to people who do not have visual impairments is also readable to people who do. Additionally, if your infographic has a lot of text, I would highly encourage that rather than having that uploaded as an image, we take that and we convert it to a PDF using Acrobat. There's free versions of Acrobat that just let you do this, where you can add tags, identifiers, alternative text to documents to make your documents accessible. I definitely encourage this become a habit for you, regardless of the document, to add those identifier tags where you can. And this is another thing that is covered in the accessibility guide that OIT has set up for PDFs. But if the PDF has just raw text in it, that is also okay. But let's just say we need to write alternative text for cannoli. In this instance, it would be appropriate to say, this is a large black dog sitting in front blue fabric. It would help if I could spell. Perfect. And so what is happening here is that I'm not describing the texture of the dog. I'm not describing the texture of the fabric. I'm not getting into the breed or anything like that. This is simple. This is easy to understand and still communicates what is behind this image. Do we have any questions about alternative text?
There's none in the chat thus far.
Fabulous. Awesome. That's always good to hear. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to provide some extra resources. And if you have a tough image that you're just not quite sure what to write for it, I'm also happy to provide any sort of guidance that you need. And a couple more things I want to talk about images, and this also applies to other content pieces on the site. You may see boxes that ask for a description or related tags. So a description is leveraged by the internal SEO, and that's search engine optimization, being leveraged by the website so that people can easily look for items on your site using the search bar. And what I mean by the search bar is if I pop this guy open, so let me go ahead and navigate back to just demo. Each website has a search feature built in automatically. It is also aggregated automatically. So as you create new content, as you add new documents, such on and such forth, the name of the document, the name of the content piece itself are aggregated into the search, and then also keywords within those items as well. Typically, if you need a little extra coverage when it comes to search, maybe there is layman terms for a specific kind of document that maybe not a lot of your constituents know about the formal naming. Maybe it's known by something else. You can absolutely add descriptive text within this description, and the system can pull that text and then assign it to that specific document, image, content piece to make it easily findable for people who maybe don't know the formal language for what they're looking for. This is also a really great accessibility tool, as it can cover all sorts of individuals, all sorts of language barriers as well. It's just, I highly encourage you leverage descriptions. Additionally, related tags, this is an internal feature. So related tags are used to kind of aggregate content. If you've ever used hashtags or anything like that, you're essentially assigning a hashtag to a piece of content. So for example, this test tag already exists and it gets that same little number. This time it's 6 digits. So let's just hit save on this image and let's look at what these tags do. So we can see that I can filter by name, type, and tags. So I can say, I only want to see things, go ahead and write it. I only want to see things that have been given this specific test tag, either because I'm looking for something specific, or these are things that are no longer relevant to my website and I just need to find all of them to delete these pieces of content. If you have lots and lots of images, lots and lots of documents, this is a really, really great way to just make sure that you have all of them kind of in one spot so that you can easily do whatever you need to do with them. And real quick, just going over documents, it is much like images, except it has one less step. So let's say this is my test document, and I know that this is going to be the file name that I want. Go ahead and have it some. Here we go. All right. Apologies, my computer is having problems, but we can see that unlike images, I've uploaded this particular media item and it has not asked for alternative text. That is because it is a PDF, it is a file type. You can upload lots of different file types, but ideally you want them to kind of live within a PDF sphere, or if it is a fillable document, that is also something you can set up using Acrobat, though it is also okay to have Excel files. I think that's CBG, and then also docs files as well. I prefer PDFs personally and also training wise because a lot of people access your site via their phone. And when you're uploading Excel documents and Word documents, not everyone has a phone that is capable of opening those documents using their mobile device, and PDFs easily open it up within the browser. They don't need any third-party platform to open it. They don't need access to Office of any kind. I believe PDFs are just really the most accessible way to present information to folks on the other side. So that's just going over a little bit about the media library. Do we have any questions about getting images in here, tags, descriptions, anything like that?
I don't see any in the chat, Sunny.
Perfect. So far, so good. So real quick, let's go ahead and talk about layouts. So layouts are a brand new service in Drupal 10 that we are always working on improving and always working on making accessible to you guys. So with layouts, you can navigate to content and then add content. And you're going to find this layouts tab right here. And always to create a layout, first and foremost, you have to give it a title, much like creating a page within the platform. So we can say, this is my test layout. You can add text here using the WYSIWYG first if you prefer to do so. You can also add a featured image. And a featured image is essentially saying, I want a banner image on my layout. Kind of like how we have Jumbotrons. It's a little smaller than a Jumbotron, and you can't have multiple at once, but you can have one featured image within your layout. Layouts are very, very similar to basic pages, and you'll even see on the back end once I have everything saved up here, how they work. And how layouts works is if you're familiar with rows and cards, it looks very similar. So don't feel too nervous or too scared. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll even put them side by side for you. So let's go ahead and save our test layout so that we can begin poking at it. So when you create this layout, first and foremost, it's going to look like this. What you need to do to edit it is to click on this layout button. So unlike normally where you can go ahead and edit here, you're going to edit your layout here. And we can see that this is what it shows us. This may look a little confusing at first, but all you need to do is create a section first and foremost. And if you're familiar with our rows and cards, this is very similar to telling it, hey, I want equal columns, and then I want 4 cards in this equal column card, or I want 3, or I want 2. So you can really think of layouts as a lot like a basic page with an equal columns, rows, and cards on that page. But this time you get to tell it how many columns you want in there first, because typically in our rows and cards, as you know, that column is purely related to how many cards you have on that row. So let's go ahead and say we want 2 columns on this layout. You can give it an admin label, or you can just add it as such. That admin label is not publicly visible. It's an internal use so that you have a label for maybe what the content is inside of your layouts. And you can see here that I have now 2 blocks. So blocks and cards are synonymous. So just in case if you're writing notes or you need like little words to kind of to get it to stick into your brain, that's how my brain works. I know folks can be the same way, is that blocks and cards are synonymous. And what I mean by that is when we click on block, you can see that I have the option to create a simple block, and this is going to look very familiar. We recognize this guy, right? This is that WYSIWYG editor. So if you just need a box of text, just plain text to put in here, you're going to want to leverage that simple content block. Or if you need something a little bit more complex, something more in that traditional cards feel, we have the basic block, which is again another text editor. We have the icon block, and the icon block is just like our icon card, where it is a colorful button where you can add an icon from Font Awesome, which we pay for and supply to you. It gives you access to 33,000 icons. Brian, if you can pop that into the chat as well. I just want everyone to know that this is a great design tool that is free for you to use, that adds that little extra bow on everything on your site. It is vector file images, which means that they will scale to the appropriate size without impacting the image quality as well. What is also nice about Font Awesome is that it has licensed, copyrighted logos and images. So if you need a social media icon, or if you need a brand icon of any kind, Font Awesome partners with these brands to provide these logos to you so that you don't get into any copyright usage issues as well. So that is also, I think, something that's really cool. I come from a design background and perspective, so I'm kind of a fan of Font Awesome. Definitely check it out if you've been looking for an icon solution. It's free for you to use because we host it for you. So let's go ahead and go back to our layout. And our media block is just like our media card. That is where you're going to put up images within your layouts. This open embed block is also just like the open embed card, where if you have that YouTube video, for example, where we get to upload it to YouTube and then pull that embed code onto the site so that people have an interactive video that is accessible for them to use on the platform without having to slow down your site by hosting the video organically into the site. So anytime you need a video on your site, it's always going to be the open embed block. But this also allows you to create custom work as well. Something to note about any custom code that is on your site is that it is your responsibility to manage that code. If we push through an update and that code starts to have issues, that is not necessarily something that we can resolve for you. And additionally, if you happen to step away from your role and you've created lots of custom work onto the site, you want to make sure that you leave behind some kind of Bible for who is stepping in. Everyone has a different flavor of coding. Coding is like a thumbprint. So definitely make sure that if you have custom work on your site, that you're keeping notes and you're keeping references for individuals to step in if maybe you are away or if you're stepping away from your role. And you'll see that this is just body box. It is just a space for you to place in paste in text. You can add borders as well and shadows, and these apply to every single content piece that are within that layout. Go ahead and back it up. And let's look at a couple more items. And the slider block is is going to be essentially like a mini Jumbotron. If you remember the carousel card, or if you remember just Jumbo slides as well, your slider block is essentially saying, hey, if you have a few images, you can put them here and it will carousel through these images like a rolling feed. This is also accessible because it has a timer between each image. I believe it is set base level at 5 seconds. This is to prevent any kind of eye strain or vertigo for your end users as well. And so, perfect. So once you have everything built up, you can add additional sections as well. So we can have a section of 2 and a section of 3. You can see we have column widths already assigned for us, and we can just add this section here. What I also love about the layouts is that it is very easy to drag and drop blocks from different sections. So if you remember from rows and cards, there is no easy way to take a block or a card, for example, from one row and then drag it into a new row. With layouts, it is very easy to just drag and drop, where maybe you say, I created this block on this particular row here, but I'm no longer feeling it. I would rather see it in the row above it. It is also to move things around very easily within layouts too. Do we have any general questions about layouts, about the overview?
Not seeing anything in the chat, Sunny. It's a pretty quiet crowd today.
Perfect. Makes me nervous, but that's okay. I'm kidding. Perfect. So that is going to be a little bit of a crash course for layouts. Also, just some basic tools that are available to you within the Drupal platform. I believe that kind of covers my breakdown or demo just for basic stuff that is available. It's important to me that I use a chunk of today to also, address any questions, have a Q&A, or any lingering support items that you kind of want to see either addressed or an update on. That is also a space for that to be held here as well. So I am going to go ahead and switch gears once more. Perfect. And like this says, question and answers. I know it's been a little bit of a quiet crowd today, but I don't want you to be afraid to ask anything. And Brian, I believe he put my email in there. So if you want those keyboard shortcuts, or if you have any little questions as well, you can absolutely email me, and then you can CC partner support as well. So CCing partner support is going to create a brand new ticket. This is a trackable item so that you can follow through on the process within this request as well. Even if it is small, this ticket does a really huge service so that you can receive support in a timely manner. So definitely, even if it feels small, even if it feels like it's not something that needs addressing, you should absolutely raise concerns or flags through partner support, even if it is just requesting little things like a logo change on your website, a color change on your website. Stuff like that is 100% what the partner support portal is for, as much as it is for bug reports, bug fixes, etc. So real quick, this is always going to be our little disclaimer about rows and cards. Rows and cards is currently not available of the Drupal core. So when we talk about Drupal core, what we mean is that vanilla Drupal that comes right out of the box. Our Drupal is a little bit different. It has some extra flavor in there. It has this custom code where we're able to say rows and cards is still infrastructurally very important to our users. It is also very important that for as long as it is safe to do so, we are going to support rows and cards on your site. We really want people to start looking at layouts as a new solution for building on their website. But of course, we understand that old habits die hard, and if you've been building in rows and cards for so long, it feels nice and comfy. We still want that for you. We still want to support this for you for as long as we can. We do not have any updates about when this is going to be deprecated or anything like that. This is still something that we will support for you. So while we talk about layouts and how we kind of talk about moving away from rows and cards, this is not something that you have to do right away or instantly, or it has to be this thing on the forefront of your mind. We just want people to be able to be ambidextrous with the tool, be able to leverage both rows and cards and layouts at the moment, so that when it comes time that we want to start looking at layouts as our main provider for our build, that you are feeling comfortable and prepared to do so. So just keep that in mind, that rows and cards is still functionally there, and I don't want you to feel scared that we're taking it away. Additionally, and this is also covering this as well, where we know that layouts is an ever-growing and evolving thing. We are always tuning things, making it better, and how we can make this better is for you to try layouts, is for you to engage with the solution and then report issues to us when you find them. This helps us easily squash bugs and make the tool more accessible and maybe a little less scary to approach. So even if it is just a test layout, something that is not going to be publicly visible, this is also something I encourage a lot of my partners to do, is to create a drafted test page, a drafted test layout. Maybe it is about a hobby that you enjoy, or just images that you like, or something that really kind of inspires creative juices, so that it's feeling a little less like, oh, I have to learn something new. It is more like I get to build something brand new with a tool that is new, and I get to kind of function as a reporter as well. And I am playing a very important role when it comes to fine tuning this so that it is the best possible tool that it can be. So definitely, I want to see folks in layouts, and I even want to see reports of issues in layouts. To me, that is a good thing, so that we can easily jump on these things and easily get them fixed for y'all. So don't be afraid to ever report an issue with layouts. I want to be there as a resource for you guys, and I know the rest of the team wants to be as well. So I'm hoping to see some new layouts cropping up here and there, and I'm hoping to see that we continue to receive reports on it so that we can make it an even better tool. Additionally, if you want further nitty-gritty, in-depth training when it comes to layouts and maybe some other content pieces when it comes to the CMS platform, we are available to provide that training to you. You will have to submit a ticket through partner support and request either an individual or just request generalized training. We have training time options available between 30 minutes and an hour. So definitely indicate how long you feel that you are going to need for training so that we can adequately get you squeezed in, and also make sure that you're getting provided the best possible support that we can. But don't be afraid that this is the only time that you can receive training on this or anything like that. You can absolutely request different external training as well. Perfect. And this kind of covers about what I was talking about a little bit earlier, where we know that there are active issues with layouts that we are working to address. And when you report these issues, we take that ticket and we assign it to the work being done on that particular bug. And that means that when you're reporting it and it's getting assigned, you get the first notification that it's been resolved. So that means that you get to be in the loop, and you get to be able to hit the ground running as soon as a fix is released. So this is just another notice saying, hey, we want your feedback. Through feedback, we grow both as a team and as a platform. So definitely be engaged. We love to see engaged faces. And perfect. That kind of wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about today when it comes to layouts, and also just some basic training, how to get folks into the site, as well as how to create a basic page and kind of get your layout started. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I want to use this last 10 minutes to kind of be an open Q&A of any kind. You can raise your hand, you can say hi, you can pop something in the chat if you don't feel like speaking. silent. I'm going to assume that we're feeling comfy, cozy today with everything that I've covered. And again, if you have an open ticket or if you have an open concern about the platform or anything like that, this is still an appropriate space for you to do so. Thank you, Bev. Perfect. Okay. Well, you have my email. Make sure that you are CCing partner support in that email. For the individual who wants those keyboard shortcuts, you don't need to CC partner support. Feel free to just poke me and I'll supply those shortcuts for you. And let me know if you're running on Mac, like a Mac keyboard or on a Windows keyboard, as it is a little bit different between the two, but I have them for both. And awesome. Perfect. It was so nice to present for this group today. If you do have any further questions, you know exactly where to get into contact with us. I hope that this was informational and I hope that I was able to provide some support or just cover maybe some lingering questions you may have had. But if there's nothing from the group, I'm going to go ahead and return some of your time back to you today. And I look forward to seeing you guys on future presentations such as this. Perfect.